me get out of that. Welcome everybody to the Digital Marketing Foundations Workshop presented by Volley and Docline. My name is Brian Sherman. I'm the Content Director at Volley, and we got a lot of really good stuff planned for you guys today. We're trying to pack as much value into this as possible, and so when we were putting everything together, we were like, man, we could charge a lot of money for this, but we want to give it to you guys for free. Just to help you guys out as business owners, because in the digital marketing world, things are always changing. There's always a new way to market your business, and it's hard to keep up with all of that and run your business. So we're going to try to help you out today, give you some very practical steps and things you can apply today to your business to help it grow using a lot of online methods. So real quick, if you guys are just walking in and you want to connect to the Wi-Fi, if you'll go to and connect to the SWDV guest Wi-Fi on your phone, that's a free Wi-Fi setup. Also, if you guys notice this screen, there's also a screen in the back over there. This QR code, if you will scan it, you can scan it from your seat with your camera on your phone. It'll take you to a resources page for today's event. So it's going to have downloads for all the slides that we go through today. It's also going to have some other couple of ebooks that we're giving away today, and all the information you need to know about today's event and all the resources for everybody's talks today. So if you guys want to go ahead and do that, you can do that, connect, or anytime during the event, you can scan that screen back there and get access. So we're going to go ahead and start this thing off. Our first section is going to be on some basics for web development. And to do this, please help me welcome our CEO of Volley, Colton Rucker.
Good morning. So real quick here, just another thing, we're presenting the event today, and Docline's with us, and we got some exciting stuff that we'll be talking about at the end of our workshop. So you're going to want to stay or stick around for that. So what I'm going to talk about today is called a new creation. If you'll notice, this is Adam and God. It's actually a zoom in of it, and web design on one side, search engine optimization on the other side. So the interesting thing is how much Google has created a market for what is SEO now. So you've probably heard the term SEO from many different angles and how that applies to web design. Some people aren't sure what it is anymore. What does it look like? So we're going to lay that out for you in Google's terminology today and tell you what Google's looking for. But first we're going to be talking about web design and how relevant that is and the things that you need to do in order to be able to perform, especially in the Houston market and the greater Houston market. Why you need a custom website. 38% of visitors will stop engaging with the website if the content or layout is unattractive. There's multiple studies done on this topic, and it really is relevant. The number can vary from time to time depending on different studies. Some higher, some a little bit lower, but it is super relevant when talking about your website and how relevant it needs to be and how up to date it needs to be. The first question I want to go over is, can I use a DIY website builder? So it's important when you're going to accomplish either updating your site or creating a new site for your company, you need to ask yourself, can I do this myself? And if you are well equipped to do it yourself, I'm going to help share some resources today that you can try to accomplish it yourself as long as you take a custom approach to it. But the number one thing is professionalism. We've all been to a site that's made by Wix. Squarespace is a new good one. All of these, although great, have their limitations. And unfortunately, when it comes to the SEO aspect, Google reads them all as multiplied sites over and over and over and over. So we'll talk more about how that applies. But professionalism is something that's very important because most of the time when people come to a site, they'll devalidate it based on that. Why professionalism is important? 40% of people cited that a website's design is the number one factor in determining the credibility of a business. If you want to be credible in your industry, it's important to look the part. And that can't be overemphasized when it comes to web design enough. Most of us in here that own businesses, we know that we have competitors, some of them within just 5 miles down the road. Some may be a little more sparing depending on the type of business you're in. But most of the time, we're already dealing with a majority of businesses in the area that are overwhelmingly doing the same thing we're doing. So how do you stand out? So it's important that your website looks the most professional that it possibly can be. Can I use a DIY website builder? The number one reason we talked about is SEO as well. So if you're talking about SEO and how your website gets read, by the search engines. DIY websites such as Wix, Weebly, Squarespace even, although they are friendly to use, they are put in a special category by Google, and you'll automatically go lower in ranking than if somebody else who has a custom website in your same field. Can I use a DIY website builder? Next one is site management. So when you're talking about site management, people will often use a DIY website builder because it's so easy to do it yourself. While that is good, there's issues that come along with that. Having someone from a professional aspect that can handle doing your website for you so you don't have to is kind of key there. Now, if you have the time to put in, if you have the time and you're not that busy with your business, then you have time to make your changes, do what you need to do, keep your updates, keep your security updates. There's so much that goes into a website builder. Ownership. Ownership is key. So if you don't pay your bill on your DIY website builder, what happens after 1 month? They shut it down, put it on delay, take your page down. You never own what you create on that platform. So when you're building key aspects to your site that are for you and for your branding, at any time you decide to leave, you can't take that with you. You can't export a Squarespace site, a Weebly site, the code or anything and take that and put it on something else. It's proprietary and it's owned by the company that created it. So they don't allow you to take it with you if you decide to go a custom route. Efficiency. Oftentimes these sites are full of extra code that's bloated that you don't even need. It needs to be stripped down and minimized, but they don't offer the options to do that on their platform. So your site speed is going to be affected greatly. And site speed is very important in turning over a customer. It's 60% of people who visit a site and the site does not load within 3 seconds often leave because they're tired of waiting, and we live in a society today where we want everything on demand and everything needs to be available to everyone immediately. So when a site delays on loading, we often have problems with keeping the customer and keeping the customer's attention. Question number 2, what platform should my website be built on? WordPress. For many small businesses, almost all small businesses, WordPress is the best place to start. And when I say WordPress, I mean WordPress.org. Some people get confused on that because they own a DIY system with WordPress.com. WordPress.org is a free source code built by developers all over the world who have contributed to a data center of amazing tools and applications that you can use. So this is a key if you have a site or you're looking to build a site or redo your site. WordPress is a great platform that is super friendly for someone who's not an advanced coder. This web platform, you can develop your own website, you can do your customizations. It's a great starting point for any of these. What does a great website have? Branding. Branding is very, very important. Most people will come to your site and they're not exactly sure who you are, what you're doing, and what's going on. And that can usually be solved from branding. How do they know they're in the right place? If they don't see your logo with clarity right away, how do they know whether they're in the right spot? So we've often seen some big branding mistakes. This is one that I have found. This is an active website. You can look it up. And this is it's a list on some of the worst websites of all time, but this is an active website still operating today. So this is an extreme version of something that's gone wrong. And I'm going to show you one a little bit that's not so bad, but there's still a lot of mistakes on it. This one, it's overfilled with content. You're not exactly sure what you're looking at. You're not exactly sure you're in the right place, depending on what you're looking for. Can you trust it? So this site deals with trust. They're trying to sell products off this site, but they don't usually get a high turnover rate in customers. Why? Because, does this look like something that we would trust here? No. Here's another example. Somebody would say, oh, that's not too bad. That makes sense. This has actually also been voted one of the worst website designs of last year. They vary in different places from time to time. But if you look, you're not exactly sure what the branding is. You have what looks like 3 logos possibly mixed together. So people aren't exactly sure where they're at and what they're looking at. The logo's not very clear on its name and what it is they're doing, and there's no call to action at all on what it is they're offering. Even though it may be clear to you in your business as the professional, it's not always going to be clear to the customer who's visiting your site. So it's very, very important you play it plain and clear. And Brian's going to talk more about that when he covers content. What does a great website have? The number one thing I always tell people is clean and custom. Minimal content, clean and custom. You can't go wrong. You can always build from there. But your site, I would say most of the time start with as much white space as you can and work from there. Dark colors aren't welcoming. There's a lot of statistics on colors, and you can read into that more and more on what's welcoming, what's not welcoming, types of colors you want to use. And even if you have a branding color, a lot of people will tell me, well, my colors are red and this and that. And I'm like, okay, well, just because it's your branding color doesn't mean it needs to be the canvas color. So it doesn't have to be the color of your canvas. Go with an earth tone or a white when you're talking about the background of your site and majority of the color you're going to see. Use your color to draw attention for your customers on what you want them to look at. So if you have a clean space to start with and you have buttons in your branding color, say it's red, that's a very broad color that many people have gone back and forth on whether or not to use it, if it's good or not. Some companies, even though red is their color, they don't even put it on their own website because they don't like the complex that comes when people look at it. Clean and custom, use the colors to draw attention. So use your branding colors to draw attention to where attention needs to be drawn. Here's a website that we actually did. It's called solarx.com. They're one of our customers. And this is showing you exactly how to keep things clean and precise and still making sure that clients know exactly what it is you have to sell. And everything that they need is at their disposal right here. So if you'll notice, we have the logo relevant in the left-hand corner. Because we read from left to right, people often start there. So you're going to want to go from left to right. And you see SolarX with their logo, clarity of the picture. Now the picture without the block of text on top of it is not very relevant. You can kind of tell what they do, but it's still not clear to the reader, especially when they're on a mobile phone. So we put on there residential film specialist. That's what they specialize in. That's what we want people to know about them. You can't put 3 paragraphs of text right when people show up on your website. You have a minimal amount of text, mostly just a few words to tell them exactly what it is you do. And that's a great example of a way to do it. There's a lot more creative. You can check out our web portfolio on our website to see some other creative ways that we've done that. And Brian will talk more about the content flow. Here's another one of our clients. This design is a little more creative and fun. This one we had a little more pushback on what they wanted. So we'll deal from clients from time to time who have different design aspirations. They want more control over their design, less control over their design. This is one of the websites where we typically had more control from the customer who wanted things the way they wanted them, and we're fighting them back and forth, trying to tell them, no, for customers, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do this. And they worked with us, and we finally got to something that we liked. She wanted really creative, but we still wanted to make sure it had the clarity in order to turn customers over for her. So this is the solution that we came out with her, as well as she's in a very competitive market in the Houston area when it comes to pool building. There's one on every corner now. Everybody's in pool building. And so it's designing your site to when people go to it that they know they have the confidence to believe in your product, and that's what she has here. Compared to her competition, who's using a DIY website builder, she looks 10 times professional, 10 times more professional than any of those other people. So you can go to her site and clearly see that she knows what she's doing. You feel like you can trust the brand, and that's huge when you're talking about customer retention. The next subject I'm going to go over is to do a search engine optimization, and I'm going to tie that into how web design and SEO work together, because it's very important to understand today that Google has changed the way SEO works. You may have heard the term in the past, but the way SEO works is completely different. Why SEO? In 2019 to date, Google accounted for just over 75% of all global desktop search traffic, followed by Bing at 9.97, and then the list goes on. So basically, when you're talking about SEO, you're only talking about Google. Do not waste your time catering to other search engines. You will waste your time completely. Oftentimes, whatever Google's doing, the other search engines will follow suit. They're just slower at it. So whatever standards you put in place, you want to make sure you're doing it for Google. On the first page alone, the first 5 organic results account for 67.60% of all the clicks. So this is why people are like, well, I'm on the first page, or they're not on the first page, but they're not getting any of the traffic that they would see. If you're not within the first 5, and that's for most keywords, we found that some of the more competitive keywords are only the top 3. So the top 5 keywords when you go to search on Google need to be your business if you want to perform organically with SEO. What is SEO? So I'm going to define that for you right now. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, which is the practice of increasing the quality and quality of traffic to your website through organic search engine results. That is the most clear, concise description of SEO you will see, and it's also one that majority of developers now have agreed upon as what SEO is today. And we're going to talk about the truth versus lie. We've probably heard about SEO, and someone tried to sell you SEO as SEM, which is a form of advertisement by Google. SEO is only referring to organic search results. So if you're talking about true SEO, you're only talking about the organic search results found on Google. That's where the traffic goes. Less than 5% of people click on Google ads in the search index on Google. There's other great forms of Google advertisement available. Just the search engine ones, they're not that great. People have learned not to trust them because the spamming links behind them. All of that has started to happen even more. So now they've focused their attention and their marketing attention on more. Website. As we talked about before, website is so important for SEO. And the only way to truly captivate your audience when it comes to SEO and to bring them in is through a custom website. You have to go the custom approach. Luckily, Google reads every WordPress site as a custom website. So no matter even if you use a theme from the repository library of WordPress, the free themes available, you're still going to be read as a custom website. Backlinks. Everybody's heard this word. They're not sure what it means. Do I just fill my website with lots of links all over the place? Well, there used to be a technique when SEO was first invented called black hat now. And it was where you just go to your website and you fill it with all these backlinks hidden in the background, and you can't even see them, and then it'll drive your search presence all the way to the top of Google. Those days are gone. That'll get you banned from Google. So you do not want to do anything like that, and anybody that's telling you to do something like that, it's probably best to seek elsewhere when it comes to information. So any information needs to be approved by Google, and they're often going to reference Google and their policies and what they require. When talking about backlinks, you're going to talk about credible backlinks versus non-credible backlinks. If you have a bunch of sites that nobody goes to and they don't get high traffic, they're all going to be seen as not very credible. And we have multiple companies out there who Google uses in order to track and find out where these companies are ranked in forms of trust. And they use backlinks as a way to reward people who get put on those platforms back to them. So if you want to have backlinks on your site pointing to other companies who are of higher stature. So it's important to put backlinks linking to other people. It's also important to have people linking back to you. But you don't want non-credible sources pointing back to you. It's very important to keep an eye on who's backlinking your site and make sure that it's not a non-credible source. Oftentimes robots, people will sign up for like backlink generators and all these things they find online. Those are not good methods at all of a way to generate backlinks. And we'll talk more about that in just a second. Quality of traffic. The quality of the traffic you're getting is more important than how much. 3,000 visitors a month on a blog, relevant, real visitors who are actually there to see your business or see your information or see your posts is going to do wonders for you in Google's system, more than just 10,000, 50,000 of spammy traffic coming to your site. You do not want spammy traffic. Google can read all of that now. They have the ability with their bots to read exactly who's coming to your site, if it's real, if it's fake, where is it coming from. If they find out that you're doing that, they will demote your site. You will derank. Local versus national. If you're a small business and you're only operating locally, it's important to take a local SEO approach. Local SEO is anywhere that Google's deemed anywhere between a 5 to 15 mile radius in your service area. Now that window can expand depending on how many locations you have, and also in parts of Texas it expands farther. But there's techniques you have to do in order to generate that. And Brian will talk more about those techniques and how you can appear locally in areas you don't have an office. National SEO, if you have a product that you need to get out nationally, you have a service that you offer that anyone can use anywhere in the country or anywhere in the state, it's called national SEO. And when you're talking about a statewide approach, you're talking about national SEO. The difference is restricting your content, everything within your state. But it's important if you're selling a product that you don't go the local approach to SEO for your website. If you go the local approach and you set yourself up as a local business, and we'll talk about Google My Business in a minute, you're going to paint yourself in a very small window of traffic, and Google's not going to help you reach the customers nationally that you're trying to reach. Evolution. SEO is always changing. It's important to remember to check Google. Google puts out an update every month now. It used to be every quarter. Every month they put out updates to their algorithm, how it works, what you need to do, and how to get your website ready for when they come. And they'll give you usually anywhere between 3 months to a year to implement these changes to your site before they reevaluate you and where you rank. If you are the first one to do this, you will outrank your competition on the next cycle as soon as it goes in. Their stuff has been at a more rapid rate now than ever. Within just 24-hour periods, people are outranking other people, which used to take weeks to do. Now it just takes days. Talking about link building, so I'm going back to link building because rather than using the word backlinks, I like to call it link building. It's a more organic word when it comes to how you get these links and where you put them. The best way to do this is to connect with sites personally. Writing up a personal email, writing up a personal message to whoever it is that oversees the site you want to link to you. Going to a blog site is a great place to reach out to the person who owns it. Ask them if you could do a guest post. Ask them if you can link a product to something that they've talked about on your site. Find a way to connect with them personally. One good organic link building through this method is better than 50 auto-generated backlinks that you can do through any of those premium services. And this is because this content is relevant, and again, Brian will talk about content and the reason why behind that. Why backlinks? Some backlinks are inherently more valuable than others. Backlinks from trustworthy, popular, high-authority sites are considered the most desirable backlinks to earn, while backlinks from low-authority, potentially spammy sites are typically at the other end of the spectrum. Can't emphasize that point enough. If your site is on bad sites, clean it off of it. Ask them to remove it. There's services that can do that for you. You can Google it. So if you Google backlink removal on Google, you will see many services that help you find out where you're indexed. SEMrush is a great tool as well, and where you need to come from and where you need to go. And if you have a big site with a lot of traffic, oftentimes you're going to find that you're in places you shouldn't be, and your rank is being hurt only because you're on these websites that have low authority ranking or spam ranking, and Google's pulling you down because they're backlinking to you. So now your content isn't trustworthy. What do I need to make a website rank higher? Social media. Social media is not a backlink. People often think, well, I've got my website linking to my social media. Those are high authority sites. Yes, they're very high authority sites, so high that they actually have a perfect score. And because of that, Google has decided that social media no longer fits the category of a backlink. We know Instagram, Facebook, they're all owned by, majority of them are owned by 1 or 2 companies. So it doesn't make any sense for them to be in the backlink category. So when they removed that, you still want to make sure you have your social medias linked to your site, both to and from. So there's different ways you can do that when it comes to linking from your website. If you have a store, now they have the ability to import your products and show them on Facebook. From there, they can actually go to your store, check out, and do all that process. They also have a place to drop links, multiple places you can list your services, and all of these different places that you can use in order to connect your social media from social media to your website. But again, on the other side, to make sure you have your social media links relevant where they need to be. A best place to put your social media, depending on the type of business, can either be in your header, but I always say put it in your footer. It's not usually the first place people come to your website and are like, I need to find their Facebook page. That's not usually where they start. They'll start on Facebook to find you. But it's important to have reference to them because it gives you credibility with Google. If you have a Facebook, I would say When it comes down to it, many different sources have cited, it's better to have 2, it's better to have 3. If you have 3 to 5 social media sources that you link out to, that's exactly what you want. So you want to have anywhere between 3 to 5. So if you're doing that, you're doing a good job, but it's important to keep up with them. So if you have social media, if you're not keeping up with it, it's not going to bring you in the traffic that you're expecting or the authority you're expecting. Dead pages do nothing. Because spammers have found out about the algorithm and how it works, they'll often make fake social media accounts for all of their businesses and then link people to them and act like something's going on, and they're often dead pages. What do I need to make my website rank higher? Google My Business. Google has been putting all of their time and resources into their Google My Business tool. It has become the one-stop shop when you're talking about a place to rank your business for reviews, quick phone numbers, email address, services they offer. They've indexed all of that, and they're really pushing Yelp out of the way. If you're on Yelp, if you've noticed, they've been getting really aggressive trying to get people to sign up for their premium packages. It's because their business model is hurting very badly. Some people still see some stuff from Yelp. It's still good for restaurant reviews, different places like that, but you don't need the premium service of Yelp in order to rank your website higher or bring you more traffic. Google My Business, however, is very important. And if you haven't done that, I would say go home today and set up a Google My Business. If you don't have a physical address, that's one thing they require. There are many different methods in order to obtain a Google My Business account. If you don't want it linked to your address, you can actually, there's some different places you can buy addresses that are in physical locations that Google will allow you to list your business at. You just can't list it as a location they can visit. But they'll allow you to set it up in order to put yourself on Google My Business. Mobile optimization. If your website is not optimized for mobile, then you've already lost majority of the visitors on your site and you're not going to get anyone's attention. In 2019, 52% of all worldwide online traffic comes from mobile, 45% from desktop. Basically, if you're not on mobile, that's just talking about mobile, that's actually not talking about tablet either. They actually put that in another category now. But if your website is not optimized for mobile, and when I mean optimized, if your website does not flawlessly work on mobile, you will lose majority of customers that you would have gotten. They will often back out within 15 seconds after finding out that nothing is friendly for their mobile device. Oftentimes they're saying it's not a professional appeal, they don't know why, they just didn't like it, it wasn't right. 62% of companies increase their sales by designing responsive mobile platforms for their websites. You'll often find big corporations now who are focusing on only their mobile platforms. They're not really looking into desktop anymore. It's not somewhere they're going. Now, if you're targeting a customer base that has to do with business and you're specifically business computers, then yes, that's still a great method. Your website should still look presentable on a desktop. But whenever you're designing your website, mobile should be your first priority, mobile and tablet. If you're not building for mobile or tablet, then you're being counterproductive in your design, and oftentimes you'll get to the end and realize half of the stuff you did doesn't even work. One more note on that. There might be people with organizations or nonprofits in here. Oftentimes, I specialized in nonprofit consulting for a long time and still do it today on quite a big level with a few big organizations. Oftentimes, donations will not come through digitally until their website is mobile optimized. So you'll often see a huge decrease in retaining donors if you don't have a mobile option today. Why? Your primary donor base is no longer the baby boomers. They're not actively making money anymore. Most of them are in the retirement phase of life or they're transitioning out. So they're not going to spend time and they don't have the resources in order to put into nonprofits like they used to. So you're going to want to target the millennial generations and the coming generations, and they are only on their mobile phones. There's actually a great statistic out there. It's a quite high number of people who don't even actually own a laptop anymore. So that's a perfect thing to note. What do I need to make my website rank higher? Google AMP pages. If you have blog content or any type of news feed, which we'll talk about the importance of that in just a minute, you need to have Google AMP pages. This is so important. Your articles will load instantaneously and Google will prioritize you over your competition if you are using Google AMPed pages. When someone searches for something and your article is not at the top of the list, oftentimes you will find that you're already competing with someone who has an AMP page. And you can tell an AMP page, it's often minimalized down, it's not the full content of the site, it's just the article in a simple, easy to read format that loads instantaneously. And you can look that up to find out how to use that and how to set that up. WordPress is a super friendly option for Google AMP pages. They have lots of great plugins and tools to get started with that. The key is to keeping your idea on the custom approach and making sure your design still looks right. Google Updates. Keeping up with the Google Updates is so important. I'm going to emphasize that one more time because if you set this all up the right way and you see an increase in your rank on your website because your design is premium, your design is custom, you did your SEO right, you did your titles right, you did your content right, you will not keep that rank without keeping up with your website on a monthly basis. You will have to spend anywhere between 5 to 10 hours a month editing and keeping your content up based on your competition. Everyone is doing organic SEO now, all of your competition. Just imagine every single person out there already has somebody doing it and doing it right. Relevant content. So I'm at the end now of what I'm going to be talking about, but relevant content is what we're going to be going on to next with Brian. 82% of consumers feel more positive about a company after reading custom content. So that's why that's important. He's going to be leading into that. But I'm going to give us some time now to ask anyone if they have any questions that they want to point my way. I'll be happy to answer them.